Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be teaching you how you can create your own audio in Universe at War. As you may know, Universe at War runs off of the Alamo engine, and it's not really that great, but we're gonna work with it anyways. Let's get started. To start off, let's say you want to change the sound of Mirabelle's gun by creating a mod. We can do that easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, there are many ways that you can obtain audio. You can go to the Unity Assets Store, you can rip files from games, you can record videos, or you can scream into a microphone. But for this demonstration, we'll be taking a laser sound effects from a YouTube video and converting it into an audio file. First, I start by downloading the video using 4K Video Downloader. Then I edit the video using Filmora 13. There are many types of video editing software out there, but this one is mine. Anytime you create a new audio clip, you'll want to export it as a .wav file. Now let's set up the architecture of the mod. First, let's create a name for the mod. Then you're going to want to create a data folder inside of it. Inside of the data folder, create an audio folder and an XML folder. And inside of the XML folder, create a folder called Units. Next, you're going to need some additional files. You can find these files inside of the game directory. Assuming that you are using the Universe at War launcher, you'll want to navigate to the launcher files, go to Game, Universe at War Earth Assault, and then Debug Mod. You can also find the files that you need by building off of someone else's mod or using a MegEditor to extract the files of the game, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to use the Debug Mod. Since we will be editing Mirabelle in this example, we are going to want Mirabelle's XML file. This XML file contains most of the scripting logic as to how the unit is supposed to behave in-game. You can find it in Data, XML, Units. The character we want for this example is Novus Hero Mech. Copy it and paste it inside of your mod directory. Put it inside of Units. As you can tell, there are many XML files related to sound effects. These sound effects are divided into different categories, such as unit selection, deaths, footsteps, weapons, etc. But rather than copying every single one of these and editing them individually, instead, we are going to copy the SFX events file. Copy it and place it inside of the XML folder of your mod. Finally, you'll want to place your audio file into the audio folder. To keep things organized, create a folder and name it whatever you want. Remember not to leave any spaces in the name of your directory or your audio files. Now that everything is in place, let's begin configuring this sound effect with the character that we want. Using a text editor such as Notepad++ or Visual Coder, you're going to want to open the SFX events files file. This XML file contains all of the known directories that are linked to any sound effects in the game. We're going to create a new one so that we can keep track of all the audio that we want to add without having to worry about the rest of these directories. You can name it whatever you want. However, for this example, we will be calling it SFX Modded Sounds. Save the file and create a new XML of the exact same name in the XML directory. Now, using one of the SFX from the debug mode, we can then copy it and paste it into our new directory. Remove the code in between. The code you should have should look something like this. Go ahead back to the SFX that you copied from and copy one of the SFX sections. What you have should look something like this. You will want your Use preset set to preset Gun V for this specific sound effect. You will want to navigate back to your sound effect. Right-click on your sound effect and click Copy as Path. In between samples, you're going to want to paste that directory. Remove the quotations and have it start at data. Additionally, you will want to give your sound effect a name. This name can be anything you want. After you've created a name for your sound effect and added the directory to the sound that you want to reference, save your XML file. Next, navigate to your Units folder and open your Novus Zero Mech XML. Press Ctrl F on your keyboard and you should see a search tab appear in the top right corner. You will want to type in SFX. This will help you find all of the sound effects referenced in the XML file. Here at the top, you can see SFX Events Fire. This sound effect is specifically linked to the firing action. You will want to remove this text and replace it with the name of your new sound effect. Save your changes. Now your mod should be ready to play. Open up your launcher and drag and drop your new mod into the Mods tab. Now we can test it. As you can tell, Mirabelle now shoots a different sound effect. Now let's say we wanted to change Mirabelle's audio so that she has a completely different voice. We would want to replace the selection, move, and attack options related to her dialogue. For this example, let's replace her voice with a drunken Arthur Morgan. As you can tell, I have already taken the liberty to create the audio files. I have divided and renamed the audio so that we have audio for attacking, moving, and selecting the character. You will take your new audio and place it inside of the folder that you created inside of your audio directory. You will then go back to your custom SFX file and configure it so that it can handle more sound effects. This is what the configuration for Mirabelle's audio looks like. Therefore, we will be using it as our template. Copy it and paste it into your custom SFX file. After you have cleaned up the code, you should have something like this. You may notice that Mirabelle's audio contains pre-samples, samples, and post-samples. This is because whenever she speaks, Victor speaks before or after her dialogue in many situations. So, the program is set up to where one audio file will play, then another, then another. But in this instance, we will not need this, so you can get rid of post-samples and pre-samples. You will want localize enabled, and you will want play sequentially enabled. Playing the audio sequentially makes it to where the audio files will play one after the other in the exact same order. Disabling this will make it to where the audio randomly activates. Let's duplicate this section of the code 3 times. Let's start by adding the paths to the audio into the sections of the code respectively. We have one for attack, one for move, and one for select. The user preset for all of these is set to preset UR. Now that we've placed in all the directories for the samples, let's go ahead and name each SFX event. Although it is completely optional, you can put comments within your code to help you remember and identify what different sections of your code mean and do. After you have double checked and looked for any typos or mistakes, make sure to save your file. Now go back to your Novus Hero Mech XML. You are going to need to replace the select, move, and attack text with the new titles that you have just created. Go ahead and save your changes. You should now be able to test your changes to make sure that everything worked.
I hope you know the way back to camp.
As you can tell, Mirabelle now sounds like Arthur Morgan. Now let's try changing a sound that's a little more complicated. In this example, we will be changing Mirabelle's footsteps to sound like SpongeBob's footsteps. Right here, we have created two separate wave files. They each have a different sound for each step. However, if you navigate back to the Novus Hero Mech XML, you actually won't be able to find the S-Effect event related to the footsteps. That is because the trigger for that sound effect is actually located in the ALA animation file for the mech. This is because the sound effect has to be more precise. Instead of triggering when an action occurs, the sound effect is being triggered at a specific frame in the animation cycle of the mech. In order to edit the ALA file, we would need to use a piece of software like 3ds Max 9. However, we're not going to do that, and instead we're simply going to edit the S-Effect event file that contains the footsteps sound effects. You'll want to navigate back to the directory of your game. Go to Debug Mod, Data, XML, and copy the SFX Events Footsteps XML. Paste this in the XML folder of your mod. Scroll down until you find Novus Footsteps. The specific sound effect that we'll be wanting to change is this SFX Animation Mech Footplant sound. Go back and place your new audio inside of the audio folder directory. In case we want to change the footsteps back, let's comment out this section of code and create a new section. Start by removing all of the sounds in between samples. Then copy the path of your sound effects and paste them in between samples starting with data. Since we will want this audio to play sequentially, we will want to add the play sequentially line of code. This will make it to where the SpongeBob sounds will always go off in the correct order. Go ahead and save your changes. Now we can go ahead and test our changes. As you can tell, now Mirabelle sounds like SpongeBob whenever she walks. As a final demonstration, let's try to add music to our game environment. I have already taken the liberty of downloading several songs that are hopefully not protected by copyright. These files can be either MP3 files or WAV files. To add them to your mod, you're going to want to go to your audio folder and create a new folder called Music. Then place all of your music into the music folder. Next, you're going to want to navigate back to the debug mod and find an XML called Music Events XML, which will be located in the XML directory. Copy it and paste it inside of the XML directory of your mod. The Music Events XML is responsible for holding all of the information of the music files. Whenever the game wants a certain type of music to play, it is normally called through the Lua scripts. However, instead of altering the Lua scripts, we are simply going to be swapping out the names of these soundtracks and replacing them with our own. This top section of the code is responsible for playing the intro music. If we wanted to replace the intro music, we simply want to replace this name inside of files with the name of the music we want to play. If you save the mod and test it, the intro music should be different now. You can use the volume % variable in order to change the volume of the music. However, anything past 100% will not increase the volume anymore. As you can tell, all of the music is divided into different categories for cinematic music, different factions, different situations, etc. You can swap out any of these file names that you want with your own music. If you want to know what any of this music sounds like, here's a handy tip. Assuming you have downloaded the MegEditor, go ahead and launch it. Navigate to the directory of your game. Go to Data. Down here, you'll see a file called music.meg. Open it. Click on the first file in the list, scroll down, and then hold Shift and click on the last one. Click Edit and Extract Files. Now if you navigate to the extraction location, you'll be able to find all of the audio that you extracted. This allows you to listen to all of the music in the game to decide which ones you may want to replace. Regardless, in this demonstration, let's replace all of the audio files for each faction so that each faction plays a different soundtrack. Now we have altered all of the audio files that will play. Let's save our changes and play the mod. As you can tell, the music has been completely changed.
Commence operations.
Yes, sir.
Well, I hope you found this video helpful. I'll be leaving links in the description down below for any of the tools and software that I used. Peace!